Okay, this is Kathy Liu again. Now let's look at 4.10 output. Okay, last video we showed the file input, and this time now let's see how we put the data into a disk file using Java. Now let's look at let's say this example. Okay, I use this example to show you how to create a disk file and then store the data or send the data to the disk file. You know, the reason we store the data in the disk file is use that, later we will read it again. Okay, think about, for example, when you go to some grocery store, you buy something, you swap your card, and all this data are collected and stored in a disk. So later, we can use that again. Okay, now in order to write the data to a file, we also follow some steps, mainly 3 steps also. Number 1, same thing, import java.io.star. Number 2, throws IO exception. And number 3, now this time we will create the print writer object. So, instead of using system.out, system.out, that's the default output device name, which is our screen. So instead of using system.out.println, we use printer writer. We use an object from the print writer, okay, to do the print line. Now let's look at the example. Step number 1, the same thing. We have to get some support from the Java. So we import the package java.io.star. So later we can use a bunch of methods and classes defined or provided in this package. Okay, and then lowercase I, and then in the main method header, immediately after main, okay, after arguments, okay, in between parentheses and the curly brace, we throws IO exception. That's throws IO exception. We look at it in the chapter number 9 or 10, to see what's the purpose of it. Mainly is to help your program to continue if some bad things happens related to the disk file. Okay, and after that, let's say we create a print writer object. So we say uppercase print writer. I called it output file. And now let's bond or connect our Java file with the disk file. But this time, the disk file will be used as output. So we say output file equals new print writer, and we put the file name in the parentheses. So we say that's the file name. We put it here. Okay, so when you look at it, you know, we when the user give us the disk file name, you know, and we bind it with our Java object output file. So whenever we talk about when then let me give let's see, I try to do something. Okay, so whenever we talk about output file, Java know, okay, we talk about the disk file named whatever file name provided by the user. Okay, so we build the connections in between our Java file and the disk file, and we define that disk file will be our output device. Okay, and after that, we do the same thing. Okay, we use print line to send the data or to write the data into the file. Okay, so we ask, we go through, we use for loop. We ask the user to enter the number of friends he or she has, and then enter the name, friend name one by one, and we put it in the disk file. Okay, so we will say let's see, instead of system.out dot println, we use output file dot println, and we print the friend name. Okay, now the last step outside the for loop, once you're done with writing, all the data has been sent to the file before we close our program. Now let's make sure whatever we put in the file are actually dumped on the disk. So we call in output file dot close. Okay. Whenever we call close operation will dump all data to of the file, from the memory to a disk. So you can actually keep it whenever whenever you need it. I mean, even we shut down the machine, we open it again, the file has actually been stored in a disk. Okay, now let me run it. Let's see. Let me run it and I'll let you see it. Okay, so this time, instead of sending the input, the output to a file, instead of sending the data on the screen, we send it to the disk. Okay, so we say that's the file. Okay, look like everything is fine. That's the for loop. After the for loop, then we're done with all the operations, and then we close the file. We save file, write demo. That's right. Now let's save it. Oop, we have one extra curly brace. Actually, two. I think two. Yeah. Let's see. Cannot find the symbol IO exception. Okay. IO exception. Save it again. Compile it. Print. Cannot find the symbol. Friend name. Okay, so I missed D. Okay, compile it again. Okay, now let me run it. How many friends do I have? 5. Enter the file name. We say friends.txt file. Okay, enter the name of the friend. Number 1, I would say Mary. Number 2, Susan. And number 3, let's say number 3, Rico. Then let's quickly type in something, Bob. Okay, and then data written to a file. Now, where is the disk file? We just create it. Now, by default, it is in the same folder as the Java source file here, documents. Did you see the top? Okay, documents. I go back to the documents folder. I shall be able to say friends. Yes, that txt file. I open that. That's the file we just created. Okay, so that's the file output.